Uh, it's Tuesday, February 25th, and it's almost noon. Oh, I just realized I haven't even done my medicine or had anything to eat. The theme of the day is going to be work. The theme of the day is going to be work. The theme of today's video is going to be work and jobs and job hunting and everything in between. Let me go make my protein shake. Okay, it is 12:20 now. I made myself some bread. Actually, first and foremost, I made bread. I baked bread last week. This is a slice of the bread that I made. Took my medicine, made a protein shake. I'm eating this for brunch. I'll eat some leftover pasta later. I don't know where to start with this video. I think first and foremost, this is the video that I've been wanting to make for as long as I've been recording YouTube videos. And even before that. It is also the one I've been avoiding the most because I'm kind of worried about making it, to be honest. I am worried that this will impact how I search for jobs. It'll impact how I am perceived when I am interviewing for jobs. But I also feel like it's an important video to make, so I am just going to lay my cards out. All of these things that I'm going to talk about are my own experiences. That doesn't necessarily mean that every person with cancer goes through this, but the reason why I want to do it is because I'm sure I'm not the only one who has struggled with job hunting, working, and doing everyday tasks while also dealing with cancer. So that's, like I said, that's the theme of today's video. I think what I'm first going to do is start by defining the AYA community. Medically, AYA is adolescent and young adult patients, and that is between the ages of 13 to 39. Excuse me. And I think it's interesting to point out because I personally believe that it is a bit of a forgotten demographic when it comes to dealing with a cancer diagnosis. A lot of people, as I've said in my previous videos, think of much younger patients. A lot of people think of much older patients. You don't really think about this like in between, where you're going through the essential phases of life while also dealing with a, an illness, with a life-altering illness. It doesn't really compute. And in my experience, especially because I'm in this in-between range, it really startles people to find out that I'm working through it. Because first and foremost, cancer comes in many forms. Treatment comes in many forms. And so it's hard to conceptualize that someone that's working a desk job is also, going through chemo. And the fact of the matter is that it happens. I have made many friends and many really strong connections with the AYA community, the AYA cancer community. In my free time, I run a Discord server that I inherited, kind of, of AYA cancer patients. Right now we have about 150 members, and we talk about everyday life. We talk about books we're reading, the things we're doing, what someone at work said to us. We also talk about treatment. We talk about the frustrations of survivorship, and everything in between. I am currently, as you see in my last video, I'm kind of up in the air with a lot of things. I am on this, chemo pill. I'm waiting to figure out what's going on with CAR T. I'm kind of, going through the motions. And I have been actively looking for another job since my last job ended at the end of 2023. First and foremost, this is the longest I've ever been without a job. And it is so strange to me. I have been working for a long time. I've been working since I was 13. I wanted to get a job and kind of have pocket money when I was in high school, and I've been working ever since. When I was first diagnosed, I was 26. I was, progressing through my career. I got my first job as a sales rep, and I was doing, normal mid-20s things. I was going out, hanging out with friends here and there. I was moving into my own apartment. I was working in New York at the time, so I was commuting. I was commuting to and from New York. And when I was first diagnosed, I lost my job. I'm not going to get too much into the details of it. I've talked about it before. But I was laid off while I was out on disability. And I realized then how much we rely on our jobs when it comes to other things. Obviously, let me elaborate. Obviously, we rely on jobs for our income. But we also rely on our job for our benefits. We rely on our job for our medical, dental, vision, blah, blah, blah. And when I lost my job, I lost all my benefits. And I panicked and I scrambled and I ended up continuing with Cobra, which, while extremely expensive, allowed me to continue the care plan and care team that I was with. I realized then that it was in that moment that I realized that this diagnosis was going to change my life forever in a way that I didn't anticipate. Okay, obviously, when you're when you're getting diagnosed with cancer, you already anticipate that your whole life is going to change. You're going to have a new outlook and perspective on day-to-day things, and you're going to see the blue sky is bluer, the sun is brighter, or your perspective changes a lot. It also means that your decision making changes. When I was 26, and I was interviewing and looking for jobs at that time, if you asked me what my ambitions were, I would say I want to be a director by 30. I want to be, in upper management by 35, VP by 40. I was and still am very ambitious when it comes to my career. But I also had to make decisions based on the treatment I was getting, based on the life I was now living. And that meant that a lot of the ambitions that I had were delayed. And I'm okay with that. Looking back, I'm okay with the decisions that I made in my career. But I want to emphasize that it meant that I changed my perspective on what I was doing and what I was meant to do. The next job I took was a job that was close to home, because I needed a job that, if I needed to go to some sort of appointment or something, it was on the way. The job I took after that was a job that I was hoping would and I was so grateful. I had a lot of really good experiences, a lot of strong experiences in that job, and it wasn't something that I think I would have taken if I hadn't needed to be that close. But at the same time, it strengthened me in my career. It strengthened me as a sales representative. It really shaped who I was at that time, and I'm grateful for it. In the career paths moving forward, this looming illness was at the back of my mind. I have a chronic cancer, as you know, which means that it comes back again. As you know, it's back. So, but it also means that it's something that I have to consider every time I take a new job. Every time I'm moving forward in my career, not only am I thinking, how will this impact my ambition? How will this impact, my income and what I see for myself in the future? But also, how does this impact my life in terms of how my treatment is going to be. Let me give you an example. A couple years ago, I was looking to switch jobs, and this amazing opportunity came up, and I was really excited for it. It was, you know what, I'm not going to go into the details of the job itself. It was a great opportunity for me in my career. It was a great opportunity for me to take position-wise, income-wise, everything. It would have been a great trajectory, and it was something that I really wanted. It was with a company that I really wanted to work for. It was exciting. And as we were getting to each stage of the interview process, I was getting more and more excited. I was getting more and more, hopeful. And when we were in the final stages of negotiations, I asked them about their benefits. Would there be an insurance gap? How would that work? And there was. There was a 90-day insurance gap. And I was devastated. I've posted a video before, a couple of years ago, and I'll link it somewhere in one corner. But at the time, I was on 2 medications. The medication that I'm currently taking, and a different one, along with it. And combined, it would cost about $30,000 a month out of pocket if I didn't have insurance. It also, required that I take other medications, all of which had their own cost plan, all of which were pricey. That did not include the doctor's appointments that I had to go to, the lab work that I had to do regularly at the time. And so I kind of laid it out, and I said, I can't be without insurance for that long. And to kind of navigate that gap, take Cobra or something like that. First of all, I didn't think I'd be eligible for Cobra if I were quitting my other job for a new job. So there would be like a 90-day gap where I kind of would be in some sort of insurance limbo. And I priced it out, and, the risk of me being without insurance for that long would mean that I'd be, potentially racking in about $40,000 a month in debt with medications. Like I said, the $30,000 for those 2 medications combined, the other medications I was taking, and then the bill for going to see my oncologist, getting lab work, getting other, tests that needed to be done in that time frame. And that was just mostly for oncology. That didn't include all of the other doctors I had and all of the other things that I needed to do. And so that really, in the end, I couldn't accept the job. They were unable to be flexible with me, and I understood why. But I couldn't accept it. And I, moved forward with another position. And I think that I'm grateful for the decisions I made, but that was difficult. Another part of my career, I had to be, isolated. Not just because of the pandemic, but because of the medications that I was on. I couldn't necessarily I was extremely immunocompromised. So not only was the pandemic extremely dangerous for me, especially as someone who had gotten COVID in that very first week of COVID. I was diagnosed with COVID March 20th, 2020. I was in the hospital for a while. It gave me pneumonia and other things. But on top of all of that, once I started the next phase of treatment that I was in at that time, I couldn't leave my house. So it meant that all my career moves had to be accommodating. They had to accommodate for remote once the world was starting to open back up and people were getting the COVID vaccine and all of those things. I couldn't leave my house at all. And again, I have videos from those. I try not to look back at them because, I was in a really emotionally dark place at that time. Isolation is really hard. But, it meant that the jobs that I had to take had to be accommodating for that. They had to be okay with me being remote, and I lucked out and I got some amazing opportunities that allowed for that for me. And now we're here. Job hunting is hard enough on its own. I think that when you consider all of the factors of what we put in day to day for our career, there's a much larger picture that a lot of people may take for granted, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm glad that there are people who don't have to consider these decisions when they're job hunting. I've been job hunting for some time, and the majority of the time that I've been job hunting has just been the ebbs and flows of the industry that I'm in and, the job market and all of those things. But since I've been re-diagnosed, or since my recurrence, or however else you want to say it, since my cancer has come back, a lot of these concerns have bubbled back up. It's always been at the back of my mind in previous instances. It's kind of hard for me to interview without bringing up the fact that I have a chronic illness. Mostly because I believe in honesty and transparency, and I think that... So my camera started to overheat, and I, in the meantime, decided to get a microphone because the dishwasher was running before, and I have a fan on, so hopefully this helps with the sound quality, but we'll see. If not, I'll just, I don't know, see if I can figure out how to edit it, but I think you can tell that I'm a little more hesitant in this video than I've been in any of my others. And I think, frankly, it's because I know that part of the job process and part of the interview process and application process means that people are looking into social media accounts to get some background on candidates. That's fine. I understand that. I think that my hesitancy is more with what I'm saying. What am I saying? a lot of the times, that I have had gaps in my YouTube videos and in my social media posts are mostly because I am concerned about what a current employer or future employer might say. I'm going to turn off the fan. And, I think it would be foolish to not consider that when I am posting content. And that's why, like I said, I'm a lot more careful about how I am saying things in this video, because I know that, to be honest about this part of my experience as an employee, as a candidate, as someone who wants to have a job, the things that I'm saying are difficult to navigate in general. Like the topic that I'm talking about now is a difficult topic, and one that I haven't seen many videos on, and this is probably why. So right now, as it stands, I am kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. I have been interviewing and job hunting for a while, as I've said. And I am coming to the realization that at this point in time, I have to kind of stop my job hunting. And that is a huge hit to my pride. It is a huge hit to that is a huge hit to my pride. The fact is, at this point in time, I need to rely on Medicaid. As of right now, it is covering all of my medications, all of my doctor visits, all of the treatments that I'm going to need, and I cannot jeopardize that. That's the first part. The second part is that if I accept a job, that means that I would have to hope that the insurance that comes with that job covers all of these things. Now, most likely they will. In most instances, the jobs that I've had and the insurances that I've had have covered most of my procedures and most of the testing and most of the doctor visits. There have been some that haven't, or that didn't allow for everything. But for the most part, I've been covered. I just had a great conversation for a position that, frankly, I wanted, but unfortunately couldn't accept because it was part-time. And I was very honest with the person I was speaking to about it. We worked together before, and I felt safe talking to her about it and telling her kind of where I'm at. But frankly, as I mentioned in my video about CAR-T, I don't know when that treatment is going to happen. It was originally supposed to be at the end of the year, and that's why I was still applying to jobs and interviewing for jobs, because that gave me enough time to get through a probationary phase and put in some work and maybe figure it out later. But now that they want to do it sooner, I don't feel comfortable applying to jobs anymore, because that means that I could potentially get a job, start a job, and then immediately have to go on leave. And that feels kind of shitty. That feels messed up. So I'm not going to do that. That also means that there is now going to be a bigger gap in my resume than initially. Initially, the gap was just me searching for a job and, in the midst of it, pursuing my advocacy work with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and, trying to navigate this move and everything else. But now the gap is going to be about my health. And having a gap in my resume in general has been, again, hard for me personally because this is the longest I've been without a job, as I've said. But also, having a larger gap now makes me concerned about my relevancy. It makes me concerned if I will still be marketable to anyone looking for a candidate like myself. All of these things are the things that I'm thinking about, but at the same time, I think what the universe, what God is telling me now is that I have to focus on my health. So, I will be trying to see if I can look into disability. I am going to talk to my oncologist and care team and social workers to see if they can help me with that. On top of that, in between here and there, as you've seen, if you've seen any of the shorts on YouTube, I have been driving Uber delivery, and it's helped. It's helped me make enough money here and there to pay for certain bills, keep some things afloat. But frankly, now that I'm back on treatment, now that I'm back with my chemo pills, I'm exhausted. I did about 5 hours yesterday, and it was, well, I think yesterday was a special case. I'm kind of laughing, but it's not funny. Yesterday, one of the deliveries I did was for a florist, and I didn't realize, they don't tell you where you're going. You kind of get a general vicinity, like awareness of like where you're driving to, but you don't know what you're delivering to and who you're delivering for, which completely makes sense. Like, it's a privacy thing, and I appreciate that both as a driver and also as a consumer. But I feel like there should be exceptions. Yesterday, I delivered an arrangement from a florist to a funeral home. And when I went to deliver the flowers, I had to deliver in a separate entrance of the funeral home. Again, understandable. But I was not anticipating the open casket to be right there. And that really shook me up. I went about my day. I still had deliveries to do afterwards. I continued because I was doing their flat rate promotion, and you cannot cancel or reject orders after that. And frankly, again, needed the money, so I kept driving. And it wasn't until I got home that it really hit me. In fact, it wasn't until Mike got home that it really hit me how jarring it was. On the one hand, I'm glad that I was the person that delivered that arrangement, because I would rather it be me than a 20-year-old kid or, 18, 19-year-old kid who has never experienced grief and who has never seen someone who has passed before. But man, that was not what I was anticipating. And
When it finally hit me yesterday, I did quite a bit of crying for this person and their family. Quite a lot of crying. But neither here nor there. Sorry, I went on a tangent. The fact is, driving Uber can be taxing. On the one hand, it is, I enjoy it because I like to drive regardless. I like driving. So I find it easy to kind of just drive around and deliver orders. And, it gets me to better understand, the new state that I'm in, the new town that I'm in, and I get to explore. And I like exploring. I like driving around and finding new places. So I do like that. But it is exhausting. Like, you don't really realize how tiring it is until after you've been driving for like 6 hours and you just want to lie down. I also sometimes, if I do a long enough shift, I get kind of dizzy the next day, so I don't drive. And then, there are instances where you don't know what to expect, like the instance I just spoke about. So there's that. What I'm trying to say is that I think right now I am just working through accepting that I need to take a step back in order to kind of navigate these health and medical things that I'm going through. But I also wanted to talk about it. I wanted to kind of, however rambling this has been, however mildly incoherent this has been, I want to emphasize that I am not the only person going through this. I know a lot of people, like I said, who are in different stages of their cancer journey, not just medical staging, but like different parts of their processing and navigating how they are going to work, going to school, taking care of their families, taking care of their homes, taking care of their pets. And this is just another thing to consider. I think that part of the thing that I bring up sometimes when I'm asked about my career choices, I will sometimes bring up that I have cancer, because there is no way for me to explain the decisions that I've made if I don't put it into that context. In my mind, it is important to be honest about it. And while I do know that it might preclude me from some opportunities, I think also if that is not something that will exclude me from an opportunity, then perhaps it's not the right opportunity for me, is how I see it. Which may be foolish, but here we are. What I am saying is that there is no way for me to pretend that I am the perfect candidate, knowing that I am just human and that these are my experiences and this is my lived and current experience. I want to know that the place that I am investing my time and my energy in, and that is investing their time and energy into me, will be able to understand me and kind of meet me halfway. And I say that because I have been through days where I'm working and I have tons of meetings and clients that I have to, speak to and have to work with. And in between, I am fighting nausea. And in between, I am fighting brain fog and just body aches and pains. It happens. There have been many times that I can easily recall that I have excused myself from a call early and been like, oh, something came up. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut this call short. And just barely making it to the bathroom to throw up. There were days where I would wake up and I couldn't open my hands because my treatment was causing my hands to hurt. And it's very hard to type when you can't move your fingers. But I work through it. And I know I'm not the only one. I think this meandering video that I'm recording, the purpose of it isn't just for me. It's for every one of you out there who is going through some sort of chronic illness, not necessarily cancer, but chronic illness in general, and is trying to navigate the job market, trying to navigate the day-to-day of working life. And I know that what I'm saying may not necessarily be coherent in times because I am trying to be very careful and very measured with my words. I am trying to consider not just my own experience, but the experiences of others, and also the experiences of the companies that are hiring us. And I just want to make this transparent. I will always have to think about this for the rest of my life, whether this recurrence lasts a year, a few months, several years, whether I'm in remission for a year, several months, several years. This will always be something at the back of my mind when I'm looking for a job. This will always be something that I have to consider when I'm looking for my next step. And I believe that it is important to share. This is an honest experience that I know I'm not the only one that goes through. And so here I am laying it on the table. Let's have this discussion. Let's talk about this. If you want to share your story with me, you can do it in the comments. You can leave me a message. You can reach out to me personally via social media or email or what have you. If you want to know about the Discord that I run for cancer patients, if you'd like to join it, please reach out. I will let you know all the details. I am the only admin and moderator. I would like to say that I am very, I don't post the link often because I am very careful of the community that we've curated. I want to make sure that we have no grief tourists or people who are just nosy, frankly. So if you are interested, please reach out to me for that. It is a safe space to discuss anything that you're feeling or thinking or going through. If you want to hear more about these kinds of rambling thoughts, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is this foolish of me to talk about? Is this smart of me to talk about? Do you have a similar experience? I don't know. I'm open to feedback. But for now, I have a couple of videos that I need to edit from the past couple of weeks. By the time you see this, hopefully I have already posted them. So anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble. I'm sorry that this has been kind of incoherent. I feel like it's been incoherent because I am, again, measuring my words in a way that I try not to do normally. But anyway, thank you for being here. If you want to learn more about me, there is a link below where you can subscribe to my newsletter. And there will be other links below for how to reach out to me, how to find me on social media. If you'd like to, subscribe to this video, I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to subscribe to my newsletter, I'd really appreciate it. There are also links if you'd like to buy me a coffee. I have that link down below as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Love you. See you soon.